At the engagement banquet party, my best friend and fiancé Damien were playing a strip game. When I woke up and walked into the cabin, my best friend was stripped down to just a thin camisole, blatantly sitting on Damien's lap. I frowned and questioned them, but Damien was nonchalant. Regular card games are boring, we're just playing something fresh. Serena smiled sweetly, her eyes seductive. We're just playing regular Texas Hold'em, except besides the basic bets, the loser removes a piece of clothing. It's all game rules, darling, you wouldn't mind, would you? I was about to speak when Damien's face turned cold first. We haven't even gotten married yet, and you're already trying to control me? So I nodded, sat steadily at the card table under everyone's gaze. So it's a card game. I'm idle anyway. Damien frowned and looked over. I averted my gaze. Since I'm here, why not join in? There was a moment of silence in the cabin as everyone's eyes turned to me. Damien smiled gently at me. Be good, this kind of card game isn't fun, go back to sleep early. When the ship docks tomorrow, I'll buy you that bag you like at the duty-free store. In the past, if Damien spoke to me so gently, I would have been utterly distracted, forgetting everything, and foolishly doing as he said, but today I just smiled faintly and didn't move. The atmosphere was awkward for a moment. Serena blinked. Darling, if you don't like this game, we can switch to another. But as she said this, she showed no intention of getting off Damien's body. Damien sneered, looking at me with a poor expression. Ariana, the engagement banquet isn't over yet, and you're already giving me attitude and trying to control me? Are you taking yourself too seriously? Everyone says young Master Damien has been through countless flowers, but the only one he publicly acknowledges is me. I thought once he had played enough, he would know tiredness, tirelessly following behind him, finally waiting for this legitimate engagement banquet, but in such an occasion, he was still openly slapping my face. I couldn't help but smile bitterly, yet I still calmly met his gaze, pretending as if nothing happened. Since it's said to be a game, I'm not someone who can't afford to play. Serena affectionately said to me, oh, exactly, it's just for fun anyway. Mainly because you're usually too well-behaved, darling. Damien always says I'll corrupt you. In my heart, I sneered. The Sue family behind Serena was originally a low-tier family, but she could lower her face, had a sweet mouth, and was good at handling things, gradually squeezing into the upper-class socialite circle. Even raising a dog requires feeding it bones occasionally. Over these years, she groveled behind me, and I didn't mistreat her. But I didn't expect her appetite to be so big, daring to target Damien. I smiled softly at her, still using our past plastic sister tone to laugh. How could that be, darling, you're overthinking. The onlookers nearby finally reacted, quickly coming up to smooth things over. Exactly, the night is long, it would be a pity not to play a few rounds. The speaker was Damien's friend Ethan. He quickly glanced at me. Ariana, we've never heard that you can play Texas Hold'em, but luckily our Damien is a master at the card table. As he spoke, he winked at Damien. Tonight, you two are united as a couple, don't slaughter us too harshly. But Damien didn't give him any face at all. He still held Serena's waist, sneering at me. Once at the card table, it's about fairness and justice. Either hurry back to sleep, or if you lose later, don't cry endlessly. My heart inevitably ached a bit. I forced a smile. But Serena seemed encouraged, exchanging an ambiguous glance with Damien. Why not add some stakes? Besides the whole cards and stripping, the biggest winner each round can designate anyone present to do anything. But it's agreed. Our Ariana is a newbie. Go easy, don't bully my darling. The cabin instantly became lively. Everyone discussed animatedly. This is great. If I win, I'll make Damien approve that land in the western suburbs for me. Haha. Forget it, no one who can beat our Damien has been born yet. If I win, can I have a night with Miss Ariana? Haha. Amid such discussions, I slowly sat up straight, drew a stack of chips from beside me, threw them onto the table. Deal the cards. The atmosphere in the cabin was awkward and tense. Ethan quietly glanced at us twice, forced a smile. Then today I'll be the temporary dealer for everyone. As he spoke, he pushed the chips thrown by each player on the table to the center. Betting begins. Damien's cards were on the table. He didn't even move his fingers, lazily leaning back in the chair, casually throwing out another chip. Raise. Serena giggled and called, her body almost embedding into Damien's embrace. I pinched the corner of the cards to glance, the hand was mediocre. When it was my turn, I didn't hesitate and pushed out equivalent chips. Yo, Ariana is playing for real today? Someone around heckled. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, smiling faintly, just casually playing. The first 3 community cards were dealt, still unremarkable. After several rounds of betting, the chips on the table gradually piled up. Damien seemed bored, his raises started increasing, with crushing arrogance. Serena closely followed his rhythm, looking at me provocatively, darling, call or not? If not, fold early to preserve strength. I pinched the 2 cards in my hand, my knuckles slightly paling. I knew my hand was already behind, Damien likely had a good made hand. He was waiting for me to back down, to show weakness in front of him, then forgive my immaturity magnanimously as usual. My heart was ice cold. I looked at the intimately posed man and woman opposite, Damien's hand even naturally rested on Serena's bare thigh. Call. I heard my calm voice, pushing another stack of chips out. Damien raised an eyebrow, seeming somewhat surprised. The 4th community card was dealt, the situation still hadn't turned. My heart gradually sank. All in. Damien said faintly, pushing all his chips to the center of the table. The huge pile of chips brought a gasp. The pressure instantly fell on me. My chips were nearly depleted, calling meant betting everything. Serena covered her mouth and chuckled, darling, forget it, Damien is feeling sorry for you, doesn't want you to lose too embarrassingly. Everyone's eyes focused on me, whispers filled my eardrums, what is Ariana thinking, insisting on embarrassing Damien. Hey, who in our circle doesn't know Ariana loves Damien to death, usually doesn't dare speak loudly, now that they're engaged, she's trying to act like the proper wife. Forget it, can Damien settle down? My right hand unconsciously clenched into a fist, since the year I was 14, when Damien saved me from a group of street thugs, I'd been following his footsteps. I didn't care about all the sarcasm, I just wanted Damien. But clearly tonight is the engagement banquet, why do I suddenly feel like I don't want to continue? I call. I emptied all the chips in front of me. Showdown. Damien revealed 2 pairs. And I, just high card. Heh. He let out a very light scoff, its meaning unclear. Serena giggled, my luck isn't bad, it's a small straight. Loser pays up, darling. Serena blew a whistle at me, remove 1 piece. The cabin quieted down, leaving only the sound of waves and the engine's hum. Damien faintly glanced at me but said nothing, my face paled a bit, I said nothing, and pulled off my outer jacket. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief, quickly saying, come on, continue. Wait. Serena suddenly spoke, if I remember correctly, I won this hand. She dragged out her tone, like a cat toying with a mouse, according to the rules, I can designate someone to do anything, right? No one responded, the atmosphere was weird. Then I'll designate Ariana. Serena's voice wasn't loud, but everyone in the cabin heard it clearly, just now Leo said he wanted to meet our beautiful Ariana, so I'll designate Ariana to kiss Leo. She extended her finger, lightly pointing at an unfamiliar man sitting in the corner. He was a notorious playboy in the circle, who had eyed me plenty before, but never dared to act openly for Damien's sake. I suddenly looked up, subconsciously glancing toward Damien, his face was ashen, yet he said nothing. The cabin instantly quieted, even that Leo looked confused. Ethan desperately winked at Serena, haha, today's wine is a bit strong. But Serena ignored it completely, just smiling ambiguously, what's wrong? Don't we usually play like this? Darling is usually too well behaved, now that you're engaged, what can't you play? The scene cooled again until Damien's voice rang out, rules are rules, Ariana, loser pays up. A light sentence, yet like a poisoned dagger, precisely piercing my heart and lungs. So he could indulge Serena sitting on his lap, so he could coldly watch me remove clothes piece by piece, so he could now personally push me into another man's embrace, bearing this humiliation. A huge sense of absurdity and bone-chilling cold swept over me. I looked at his handsome yet indifferent face, suddenly feeling utterly unfamiliar. I somewhat numbly walked toward that Leo, like a marionette, under everyone's gaze, bending down to plant a fleeting kiss on his greasy cheek. The cabin was so quiet you could hear the waves slapping the hull. I straightened up, my eyes uncontrollably reddening. Is that okay? Serena was stunned, then giggled. Of course, darling really can play. Ethan hurriedly said, all right, Ariana, you're tired too, why not go rest early? I took a deep breath, but under everyone's gaze, sat back down at the card table. No, I want to continue playing. But I stood in place without moving, my gaze sweeping over Damien, finally landing on Serena. I didn't expect that the dog I raised, usually wagging its tail and begging, obedient and sensible, was actually the kind that bites without barking. In the previous round, Miss Serena won the pot and has the right to designate one thing, right? I slowly spoke, then next, do you dare to play a few big hands alone with me? Serena was stunned, then as if hearing a joke, Ariana, play with me? Play what? Just Texas Hold'em. But we can raise the stakes. Haven't you always wanted that beauty salon under my name? If you win, I'll give you the store. I paused, looked at her, saying word by word, if you lose, strip off all your clothes, and leave this card table, roll off Damien's lap. The cabin erupted in uproar. Serena's face instantly turned ugly, she subconsciously looked at Damien. Damien frowned tightly, finally looking at me seriously again, his tone warning, Ariana, don't mess around. Provoked by me, Serena immediately accepted, fine. I'll bet with you. But just leaving the table is boring. If I lose, for the rest of tonight, I won't come within 3 steps of Damien. But if you lose, the salon transfers immediately, and you have to personally pour wine and apologize to me. Okay. I agreed crisply. Ethan still wanted to, but seeing us at daggers drawn, he had to steel himself to deal. This round, only Serena and I were playing. Damien sat aside with a dark face, not participating. 3 community cards were dealt, the board still lukewarm. Serena's gaze toward me became increasingly contemptuous, completely without her former cautious demeanor, as if victory was assured, not taking me seriously at all. After the 4th community card was dealt, she went all in. Ariana, call or not? If not, admit defeat now and pour the wine. Damien also spoke, with his last bit of impatience, Ariana, enough is. I call. I calmly interrupted him, pushing all my chips forward. Showdown. Serena revealed her cards, a pair of Ks, combining with the board to make 3 of a kind Ks. Her face already showed a victorious smile. And Ethan flipped my cards, already feeling sorry, Ariana, you're A and Q. High card. The surrounding scoffs became more obvious, Ariana is really crazy, if I were her, losing so much face would embarrass me to death. First time seeing someone fail to assert sovereignty and play themselves in. Serena covered her red lips with her hand, smugly saying, gambling for fun, darling, getting so heated is a big taboo in casinos. As she spoke, she kicked the wine bottle on the table with her high heel, the humiliation in the action too obvious, known each other so long, first time drinking wine poured by Miss Ariana herself. I took a deep breath, I understand, loser pays up. Standing up under all the onlookers' gazes, I poured her glass after glass full of wine. The long silent Damien finally spoke, with rebuke, Ariana, do you think you haven't lost enough face? In the following time, almost everyone on the ship knew that Ariana lost all face on the engagement night, someone who had never played Texas Hold'em, yet like a stubborn gambler, lost bruised and battered. People on the field had more or less removed a few clothes, I had only my last close-fitting red dress left. Tonight is my engagement banquet, the red dress was my most shy girlish secret, I wanted Damien to remove it himself on this happiest night, but alas, probably no such day. My hand holding the wine glass trembled slightly, eyes teary, but I forced myself not to cry. From age 14 until now, a full 10 years, thank him for using the most cruel and embarrassing way to put a period on us. Damien. The previous games, I feel aren't exciting enough. Since we're in international waters, why not play something bigger? Damien frowned. What are you stirring up now? I met his gaze. I have only this one piece of clothing left, so I want to bet one last round with you. I'm betting all assets under my name. As the words fell, the whole room was shocked. Damien's eyes instantly sharpened. He sat up straight. Ariana, do you know what you're saying? I smiled faintly at him. Don't worry, I'm very clear-headed. If I win, I want you to agree to one thing, and you and her, I pointed at Serena, looking at the calm sea on the deck, jump off my ship and swim back yourselves. The whole place was silent. The crews had been sailing most of the night, jumping into the sea now. No one knew what fate awaited. Serena's face changed. Are you crazy? But I remained calm. Don't you dare? That's wealth you'll never get in your lifetime. Serena subconsciously swallowed the huge temptation right in front. Damien sneered. Whatever assets you put up, I'll match. If you lose, you swim back yourself. Ariana, I've given you too many chances. It's you who insisted on going this far. The dealer started dealing. This time, neither Damien nor I moved. No one looked at the cards, tirelessly raising. Serena followed 3 rounds, then couldn't withstand the pressure and folded, running away. Only Damien and I left at the table. Ethan's voice was somewhat dry as he announced the last river card. The board was fully set. Damien's gaze locked on me. Ariana, admit defeat now. I can pretend you drank too much tonight and were acting drunk. Forget jumping, I can hold your assets for you. I said nothing, just slowly flipped my 2 whole cards that had been face down. 10 of diamonds, Jack of diamonds. And the community cards were Ace of diamonds, King of diamonds, Queen of hearts, 8 of spades, and the last decisive one, Queen of diamonds. When the last card was revealed, Ethan gasped, his eyes widening suddenly. Damien's smile froze instantly. He stood up abruptly. This is impossible. Ethan's voice began to tremble. Flush. Straight. A, K, Q, J, 10. It's a royal flush. The entire cabin exploded. Royal flush. The biggest, almost impossible to beat hand in Texas Hold'em. The probability is ridiculously low. Serena's smile completely vanished, replaced by pallor. She looked at the cards, then at me, her lips trembling, unable to say a word. I calmly met Damien's almost fire-breathing gaze, my heart beat steadily in my chest, without the expected excitement, only a sense of dust-settling relief. Seems my luck isn't bad. I stood up, my gaze sweeping over the ashen Serena, finally fixing on Damien's livid face. Damien, loser pays up. I raised my hand pointing to the endless cold sea outside the cabin. You, and her, I enunciated clearly, repeating his earlier words, jump off my ship and swim back yourselves. And, the thing I want you to agree to. Our engagement is dissolved, Damien, I don't want you anymore. Damien's chest heaved violently, he stared at me intently, as if truly seeing me for the first time. The Ariana who had always followed behind him, timid and compliant, giving whatever he wanted, in this moment, in a way he never imagined, pushed his arrogance and trampling, along with himself, into a desperate situation. From age 14, I strived for Damien, whatever he liked. I tried my best to learn, racing, cards, even shooting. I learned well, but he said he liked my obedience, so I hid all these, pretending to be what he liked most. Now, I finally don't need to pretend anymore. Ariana. He squeezed my name through his teeth. What? I tilted my head slightly, mimicking his earlier nonchalant tone. Young Master Damien, can't afford to play? The surrounding whispers grew louder. Everyone watched this shocking reversal, seeing how Damien would end it. Serena screamed, no. I won't jump. Damien. She'll drown us. The sea is so cold. Damien's temple veins bulged. He abruptly pushed away Serena, trying to grab his arm, his gaze sinister and frightening. Good, very good. Ariana, you're ruthless enough. This time, no matter how you beg, I won't forgive you. But I smiled faintly. There won't be such a day anymore. from stepping on this cruise, we won't have such a day. Damien stared at me for a few seconds, then under everyone's watch, he turned abruptly, striding to the deck edge. Damien stopped at the railing, turned back for one last look at me. The next second, he leaped, his black figure cutting through the faint dawn light, splashing hugely into the cold sea with a plop. Inside and outside the cabin, dead silence. Only the sound of waves, and Serena's collapsed wailing. I slowly walked to the deck edge, holding the cold railing, looking at the sea below that swallowed Damien. The ink-blue sea rolled, soon smoothing that ripple, as if nothing happened. I stood quietly for a moment until the sea breeze chilled my skin, subconsciously shivering, then turned back to the cabin, looking down at Serena. She was limp all over, like a puddle of mud, makeup messy, crying breathlessly, "No, Ariana, I was wrong, really wrong. Jumping in now will kill me. For the sake of our past good relationship, spare me, please." I chuckled lightly. "Good? How were we good? I barely considered you a friend. You said you wanted to see the scene on the cruise, I brought you, and this is how you repay me?" I no longer looked at her, waved to call the ship's security, throw her down. The waves silently swallowed Serena's screams. International waters, what a romantic place. Ethan stood beside me, expression complex, hesitating. "After the ship docks tomorrow." I couldn't help raising an eyebrow. What storms await after docking, I can already foresee. But I know, I won't look back. The cruise slowly docked in the early morning. The dock was already filled with reporters and onlookers who got wind, cameras aimed at the gangway. Everyone wanted to capture young Master Damien's movements after the engagement banquet first. The first to walk down the gangway was only me. The eye-catching red dress fluttered in the sea breeze. I tightened my coat. No trace of the shyness or happiness expected on engagement night on my face. My steps were steady, back straight, ignoring all the commotion and flashes below. "Miss Ariana. Where's Damien?" "Miss Ariana, heard there was intense conflict on the ship last night, is it true? Did something happen at your engagement banquet?" Questions surged like tides, bodyguards struggled to maintain order. I stopped mid-gangway, gaze sweeping the dense crowd below, voice clearly spreading, "Thank you for your concern. My engagement with Mr. Damien was formally dissolved this morning in international waters, by mutual agreement." One sentence stirred 1,000 waves. The scene exploded instantly. Without waiting for reporters to digest this bombshell, I smiled lightly. As for Mr. Damien himself, he might need some private time to cool off in the sea. After speaking, I ignored any further questions, under bodyguards' escort, directly through the stunned crowd, into the waiting extended Maybach by the road. The door closed, isolating the outside clamor. I leaned back in the seat, closed my eyes and let out a long breath. Fingertips trembled slightly. The phone started vibrating crazily, screen flashing "Foo residence." I directly muted it, casually tossed aside. "Damien, the game has just begun. The humiliation and indifference you gave, I'll return with interest, one by one." The news of my dissolving the engagement swept upper society like a hurricane. The Fu family used all forces to suppress the jumping scandal, claiming externally it was young people quarreling. But many on the ship that night in the circle, the truth had spread privately like wildfire. Damien found my apartment the next day. After all, he's the Fu heir. Being forced by me to jump was already a loss of face. How could the Fu family really let him swim back from international waters? He changed into clean clothes, still dashingly handsome, tried to enter directly as before, but was blocked expressionlessly by my new bodyguard at the door. "Ariana. Let me in. Let's talk." He shouted outside for a long time until his voice was hoarse. Only then did I, holding a coffee, leisurely walk to the door, through the door, looking at him indifferently. "Damien, anything else?" Damien was stunned, face not looking good. He seemed to endure greatly, softening his tone. "Ariana, stop messing. That night was my fault. I drank too much. With Serena it was just casual play, you know, I like to play but in my heart only you." Such familiar rhetoric. Splurging on female stars is playing, late-night racing with female secretary making headlines is playing, leaving me alone on the roadside is playing. Just because he said he had me in his heart, I foolishly believed for so many years. Constantly finding excuses to forgive him. I couldn't help scoffing. Casual play needs her sitting on your lap. Needs watching her force me to strip? Needs personally making me kiss another man? Damien, your casual play, the cost is too high. His face changed, stepping forward. I know you're angry, whatever you want, I can agree. But engagement isn't dissolved just by saying. Our family's cooperation. Business cooperation. I'll have my brother talk personally with uncle. I interrupted him, tone businesslike. As for us, when you said loser pays up, watching me be humiliated, it was already over. I was angry then. Damien tried to explain, finally without last night's arrogance on the cruise, tone softening. Ariana, I know I was wrong. 10 years, I've been with you since 14, how can you say no just like that? I slowly shook my head. Damien, what you've been guarding is just a shadow tamed by you for 10 years, obedient to you. Now this shadow is awake and doesn't want to play with you anymore. I put down the coffee cup, preparing to close the door. Damien's eyes finally flashed panic. What exactly will make you forgive me? I looked at him, suddenly smiled. Nothing will. I didn't stop. Back at the Shin family, I first saw father and brother, clearly expressing determination to end the marriage with Fu family. The assets Damien bet in the last round weren't few, under everyone's eyes, he couldn't deny. I took them all. Father was shocked, but seeing my unprecedented resolve and brother's support for my decision, ultimately acquiesced. I quickly took over part of the family's core businesses. In the past, to cater to Damien's preference for obedience, I deliberately hid my talents, now no need to pretend. At the first project bidding I hosted, with precise vision and thunderous means, I snatched a golden land they were determined to get from Fu's mouth. Damien blocked me outside the venue. He looked much more haggard, with dark circles. 2 months since the cruise, he tried to find me multiple times. This was the first public encounter. Ariana, must you be so ruthless? I faintly glanced at him. Business is like battlefield, Damien. Do you still expect me to hand over benefits like before? He looked at me, eyes pained. Between us, is only this left? Between us, when you indulged Serena humiliating me, nothing was left. I looked at him coldly. Also, remind you, Su family recently seems to have gotten some good projects using resources stolen from me. Guess, if I reclaim those now, how long can Su family hold? Damien's face changed. Su family depends on Fu. Serena sticks to him like gum, troublesome to handle, ignoring Luz's face. Her. I'll handle. That's your business. I smiled slightly, turned to my car, irrelevant to me. In the car, looking at Damien's diminishing, dejected figure in the rearview, my heart had no ripples. Regret? Pain? But this is far from enough. I didn't do anything directly to Serena. I simply cut off all resources and channels once given to Su family through me, and clearly warned that any company cooperating with Su would be seen as enemy to Shin. When the wall falls, everyone pushes. Those who flattered Su before now avoid like plague. Su family's capital chain broke quickly, several ongoing projects failed successively, nearing bankruptcy. Serena, desperate, finally came to me. No longer the seductive look from the cruise night, face sallow, eyes panicked, kneeling on my office floor, crying without image. Ariana. Ariana, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I was obsessed, I let you down. Please be merciful, spare Su family. I'll do anything. I sat behind the large desk, calmly watching her tears flow. Anything? Yes, yes. Anything? She nodded frantically like grasping a lifeline. I picked up the intercom. Anna, call security. Serena was stunned. 2 tall security soon came. I pointed at Serena on the floor, tone indifferent. Please escort her out. Also, notify all building security, Never allow this person or any Sue related to step into Shin building. Ariana. You can't do this to me. We were friends. Serena screamed as dragged away, voice shrill. Friends? I sneered inwardly. From the moment you coveted Damien and schemed against me, we weren't. After handling Serena, I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the city's prosperity. Phone rang, brother calling. Ariana, tonight's charity banquet, Damien heard you're going, managed to squeeze in, want to cancel? I hooked my lip corner, eyes sharp and bright. No need, why not go? Why should I avoid him? In the past when I loved him, I could give everything for him. Now not loving, I also want to see with my own eyes how he pays the ultimate price for his past arrogance and baseness. The charity banquet was in the city's top hotel ballroom, crystal chandeliers dazzling, fragrances and shadows, elites gathered. When I appeared at the entrance arm in arm with brother, the originally noisy venue had a moment of stillness. In past years, I always followed Damien, so they forgot Ariana herself is surnamed Shin. She doesn't need to cling to anyone. And these months, under brother's encouragement, I showed my skills, dealing with Fu without mercy. Those in the circle watching and enjoying the show gradually understood, perhaps Fu and Shin really disintegrated. Upon entering the inner venue, I saw Damien. He obviously dressed carefully, trying to restore past flair, no female companion, gazed tightly following me. I ignored him, calmly chatting with familiar elders and partners, demeanor showing confidence and edge completely different from past. Auction started, whatever Damien bid on, without exception I won. Brother beside smiled helplessly, now the Fu kid really lost face, vented. I kept my back straight, smiled gracefully. Anyway, spending his money, he lost so much to me on the cruise, now naturally doesn't dare be too arrogant. I want to declare to all this way that Damien and I ended long ago. Midway through the banquet, I went to the terrace for air. As expected, Damien followed. Ariana. His voice hoarse, no longer the past commanding tone, must we be like this? I turned, leaned on the railing, calmly looking at him. What does Damien mean? Fair bidding in business, or me ignoring you now? He stepped forward, tried to grab my hand, easily avoided by me. His hand stiffened midair, eyes pained. I know I was wrong, outrageously. That night I was blinded by jealousy. Seeing Ethan defend you, so many men looking at you, I just wanted to anger you. Serena is nothing. In my heart from start to end only you. How ridiculous the reason. Because jealous, can indulge others humiliating me? Because care, can trample my dignity? Damien, how funny, I followed you 10 years, became the circle's joke, even at engagement you slapped my face, now you say you love me. No. Not like that. He debated urgently, even incoherent. These 10 years, I got used to you by my side, used to you looking at me. I just didn't realize how important you are to me. Until you turned away, until you looked at me that way, until I jumped into that cold sea. I understood, I can't be without you. As he spoke, his eyes reddened, for the once arrogant Damien, almost unimaginable. If before, seeing him like this, I would have ached unbearably, immediately forgive everything. But now, my heart only barren calm. Too late. Damien's eyes red, body swayed. How do you want me to prove? Say. As long as you return to me, I'll do anything. I can immediately cut ties with all women, transfer part of Fu shares to you, I can even. Damien, I interrupted again, don't you understand? I don't need your proof, nor anything from you. I don't love you anymore. Damien's face instantly pale as paper. I turned leaving the terrace, this time he didn't follow. Before the banquet ended, I encountered Serena. She seemed to grasp the last chance, trying to sneak in to beg some boss for help. Haggard appearance, long lost past glamour. Seeing me, like seeing a ghost, too late to hide. Miss Ariana. Her voice trembled, almost crying, please, spare my family. I know I was wrong, really wrong. It was me ungrateful, repaying kindness with enmity. Miss Ariana, you're magnanimous, treat me like a fart and let go. Seeing her ugly begging, my heart no ripples. Serena, I slightly bent, close to her ear, in a voice only we could hear, word by word, know why I don't kill you directly, but let you watch Sue family collapse bit by bit. She looked at me in terror. Because making you have nothing, fall from clouds to mud, taste the humiliation and despair you once gave me, is more satisfying than making you disappear directly. She completely collapsed on the ground, face ashen. I no longer looked at her, signaled the nearby security manager. He understood, immediately sent people to escort the dejected Serena out. Brother came over, looked at me approvingly, well done. On Fu's side, father has talked with uncle, engagement dissolution is set, subsequent business division, I'll handle. Thanks bro. But, brother paused, looked toward the terrace, Damien still stood dejectedly, back desolate. He looks like he really regrets. I followed his gaze, eyes without waver. Bro, belated affection is cheaper than grass. I sipped champagne, tone indifferent, moreover, whether that's affection is unknown. Perhaps he's just unwilling to lose a possession once completely obedient to him. I withdrew my gaze, looking at the brilliant city night view outside. My new life has just begun. Damien and Serena are destined to be just 2 stumbling blocks on my life path. Ahead is my own broad avenue.